Hey everybody, it's me, Jesse, and today I'm gonna show you how I fixed the issues we were facing in the last stream. So I had a little help from some people on my team, so shout out to Lucas and Bruno. Um, they both helped me out with some different pieces of this that were wrong. So I had basically like two issues, maybe three. Um, let's uh, let's start out with just explaining a little bit about what we were trying to do for people, I guess, that didn't see the stream, and um, then maybe we'll get into a little bit more code after I explain that. All right, so what I was trying to do is take, let me show you an array of objects as the state and update that array of objects. And the problem was that I found out is that I was creating what was called a shallow copy, or I wasn't necessarily creating a copy at all. I was just creating a reference to this array. So we were taking basically instead of what we're doing now, I was saying new state equals state, right? And then we were mutating state, but what we were doing is we were directly updating state right after that. So then I was taking new state and we were changing this day of week value on state. But what I didn't realize was happening was because I copied it in this way that just makes a reference, it was actually updating the component state. Since I was doing that directly instead of using a like a use state hook or a set state hook, React wasn't updating the component. So then when React actually compared the new state, when I did call set state, uh, it was saying, oh, well, this state is the same. There's no need to update. So that was the problem. So what I needed to do was create an actual copy. So my one of my engineers, Lucas, pointed out that you can do this little trick here, and you can stringify the state into JSON and then parse it back out, and that will create the type of copy that we need. This is not the only way to do it. We could have done it like this. I believe this would have worked. Something like that. Or perhaps like this. Something like that. Right? We could have done something like that. That would have worked. Although Lucas pointed out to me that this has some issues with it as well. So the safest way to do it would be to do it like this. I did some reading, and if we do it like this, potentially date values could get messed up. So I guess if you're trying to do something like this and you have date values, this may not work for you. It may mess up the dates. But anyway, that's what we needed to do. So then this is an actual copy. When we modify this copy, it does nothing to the actual component state. Then when we try to return the new state, which this is, we're using a use reducer, which basically whatever we return from there, that new state, it basically calls like a set state on that, and then that properly updates the state in the component. All right, so I did that. Then I tried to actually submit this to the backend, and I was getting an error. That had to do with something else I was doing in the component, which I'll show you in a minute. It's easier just to see it actually working. But basically, that was my main problem. So fix that problem and then add it in. So not only do we have these handle mass change, but I needed to do something very similar for confessions and adoration. So I added basically the same switch statement with the addition of an end time instead of just a start time. And I came down to, basically I got to the point where now I'm ready to actually pass this stuff back. So we need to say confessions and iterations. And actually, we could probably get rid of that. And now basically we are successfully, adding this data in. I'll show you what I did down below in like the markup for the component. I just copied everything, and then basically everything we were doing for masses, I did the same thing for confessions. I just added in an extra field for the end times. I did the same thing for adoration. I did add in a conditional, so this stuff only appears if we set it to the type of community, to parish. So now let me show you what this looks like. So now, like if we can have our normal group and it doesn't show it, but when we select parish, we now have mass times, confession times, adoration times, and we can set all these independently. And what I set, I mentioned a minute ago that there was one other piece that I was kind of messing things up with. I have it set that when you set language, it opens up a new row. So language is the last one. So it would open up a new row where you could add more times, and it automatically does that. I'm going to leave it like that for now. I also thought about adding a button to say like add row. We could do that, but I thought for now at least this was better because we don't have to add in a new element to the UI and control what happens there. And the way I made that happen is, let me scroll back up. Unfortunately, this component has gotten quite large now. So I think it might not be a bad idea to refactor out a lot of the markup and maybe put those into separate components. But you can see here when you change the language, it returns new state and initial masses. Now what I was doing here, I believe I initially was doing this, something like this. And that was creating like a new array within the array. And that was causing an error when I tried to post this to the backend. But for now, everything's working and we can post it to the backend. And there's still, let me find it. It doesn't look like spectacular right now. I think there's some work that could be done, but it's functional, which that's the main thing that we want right now for basically what's like a back end admin panel. Hey, John's here. How's it going, John? Let's see. John says I've done the state with the, I forget the technical term, but the 3 dots and then copying state like that. Though I've read that JSON stringify is a more secure method within JavaScript pertaining to forms, though these days of the week aren't dangerous. Yeah, the right now we basically have all strings. So when we do a JSON stringify and JSON parse, we're not in danger of messing up any of the data. This is all strings. I had potentially thought about making these values like actual dates and using like a date time picker, but in this case, I think that would be unnecessarily complex, and it might be easier as someone's typing just to like tab through and type out what they want. But we'll see when people actually start using this, and then we get feedback, and maybe we'll switch it up. All right, but it took me a while to get to that point. Yesterday, I worked on it, and I quit working yesterday afternoon, and I just could not figure out what the problem was. And then finally this morning, with the help of my team, figured out what the issue was. But sometimes that happens. You got to take a little break before you can figure it out. Oh, good. John has the name. It's the spread operator. The three dots is a spread operator. All right, cool. So we have that done. The next big step in terms of functionality would be to actually let us edit when we've created a community, to now be able to grab the data for that community and edit. That's a big step. We may try to do that, or at least start that process today, or we can clean up how this looks a little bit more. Let me know what you think. If you'd rather do a little bit of UI work, or if you would rather start on like creating a new page, basically taking what we have here and adding onto it so that it pre-fills all this data that we're getting from the back end. Yeah, we'll see. I took some G Fuel, which is energy powder, before this started. So when that kicks in, I should be good to go. Usually this time of day, I start to get really tired. I thought, all right, well, let me try to stream. Maybe that'll like keep me awake, give me a little bit more energy. So hopefully it will. I've got a little bit of iced coffee here, left over from my morning batch of coffee. So in terms of caffeine, I think I'm ready to go. I do have a question for you all. So for you all watching now, and then for those of you that are watch later, you can put it in the chat. So lately I've been feeling like so I'm vaccinated for the COVID vaccine and everything like that. So I've been feeling like I want to get out and do something. I've used to travel a lot and speak at conferences, and I haven't for a long time now because of COVID. And I really want to get out and like go somewhere. So if you could go anywhere for just a few days, little vacation, where would you go? And if you want to tell me why, that'd be cool too. But I was kind of just looking at places that are driving distance away from me, looking at like ticket prices for flights for a little bit places farther away, and just kind of trying to get some ideas. And I don't know if I'll even be able to go. You know, I've got 4 children that are all young, so it may not even be doable for me to leave and go somewhere. But I'm trying to think about it, maybe do a little bit of planning and just to see. Maybe the urge to travel will leave me before I get a chance to travel, and I won't do anything. But I thought it would be cool to ask you all, you know, where would you go if you could go somewhere for a few days? And yeah, I'm not sure. I enjoy going to cities. I also enjoy like going out in nature. So I was looking at some places that are like cabins out in the middle of nowhere. That would be cool. There's also some cool cities that I like. I love Charleston, South Carolina. I love even New York City. Although I've heard it's changed now, but the energy in New York City is pretty cool to see sometimes. Um, but I'll probably stick with somewhere in the United States, or at least very close to the United States, because flights to get to like Europe are quite expensive. Um, but for you all, feel free to tell me in anywhere you would want to go, because I think it would be cool, cool just to see what you all think. And it looks like cool. John says he's interested in seeing me start a new component, so I think that's what we'll go with. And he also said G Fuel needs to sponsor me. Yeah, I've been. Where's my G Fuel? If anybody from G Fuel ends up watching this, I use your stuff. It helps me stream. Uh-huh. So hook me up with like a free carton of G Fuel or something, and I'll give you a shout out all the time. They only usually sponsor gamers, so maybe I need to start streaming on Twitch or some gaming or something like that. Oh wow, John's in Canada, and the lockdowns are still pretty bad. Yeah, that there seems like there's a lot of places outside of the United States where things are still pretty bad. I know I have engineers in Brazil and India and team members in other places, and yeah, their lockdowns are still bad. So I just saw some headline that the United States is going to distribute a lot of vaccines to other countries. So maybe that'll help. Um, I don't know anything about medicine or anything like that, so I don't really want to get into a debate about the efficacy of the vaccines. But um, assuming that that the vaccine, I'm assuming that the vaccines are a good thing, and that that'll help stop. Especially, I just heard a story about a young person in India who got COVID and died from it very unexpectedly. So it's pretty rare. When I say young person, I mean like someone in their 20s, like not like a kid, but uh, I'm 35, so when I say young person, I mean 20s. um, all right, well, let's get back. We'll get back to some code. Every time I don't talk about code, I usually get a comment that says, "Stick, more code, less talk," or something like that. Uh, it doesn't bother me. I just laugh at them because they're usually right. I usually talk too much about other things. But let's take the first couple steps, at least, into making the edit version of this form. So one thing we'll be able to do is, we'll be able to copy this. Actually, let's make a copy here. So we'll make a copy of the create community form, or the whole folder here. Whoops. Put it in the component folder here. We're going to paste it and rename to edit community. So now we should have everything that we need, but we need to bring in the data and pre-fill all of these fields. So let's look to a component where we're already doing this. And so we could find another edit component. So we have edit business profile. Let's pull in some of the code here. Get business profile. Yeah, let's pull this in. And business profile. Profiles. Yeah, we'll just pull in a bunch of this, and then we can always edit out what we don't need. Oh, you know what we didn't add that we should have added? Right now, when you actually submit the form, there's no indication as to whether or not it worked or not. We'll have to do that. Since we already started on this, we'll continue with this. But at some point, we should add in like success and error messages and things like that. All right, but we can copy this for now. And let's put this, where are we going to put all this? I guess we can put this down at the very bottom. I just want to put it somewhere where I'm not breaking up existing code. So yeah, let's just put it at the very bottom here. And obviously we're going to change a lot of this. So it's instead of get business profile, We want get community. And it's also going to accept an ID. And some of this is going to be the same. We are going to need to change some of this. So like community doesn't have advertisements, so let's get rid of that. But it's still going to have updated at, which I don't think we need. Communities won't have a personal email. Do we even have a phone number field right now? I don't think we do. Yeah, we do. I don't think we ever made a firm decision about what we were going to do with the phone number, though. Initially, we were going to accept multiple phone numbers, and I thought I decided to not do that, but we'll double check it. We don't need last changed at. We do need version. We need to make sure. Yeah, we'll keep deleted in there. There's no business location. We don't need created at. Let's keep email, ID. We don't need logo, but we're going to need image. So I'll keep that in there just to remind me. We do have a name. Do we need the owner ID? I don't think we need the owner ID. All right, so for now, we'll leave that out. Having community. Whoa. Get community. And then let's change this. This is going to be get community. Let's change these queries. Get community, and our ID variable, we are going to get this from these params. And we need to import some stuff. So let's scroll back up to the top where we're importing. And let's import a few of these. Let's just bring all this stuff in for now. And let's take this out. And let's bring in what we're going to bring in. Get community. Oops, that's not going to be a mutation though. Yeah, we don't need to bring that in as mutation. Eventually, we're going to need to change create community to update community, but we're not going to do that now. Let's get rid of this. Use from GraphQL. Thought we used that, and then get community query. I think that's all we need. If we go back down here, we should be able to see. Oh, use effect. That was it. We need to pull in use effect from React. John said, I've never thought of copying the whole thing and then building out components from that. Interesting. Yeah, I find it saves a lot of time. If I'm going to have a component that is similar, I just copy an existing component and then edit it. And you can see not only that, like I copied this entire component and then I'm copying parts of this other component and just combining functionality from the two. I find it's easier, and since I'm not manually typing things out, I make less errors. You would think there might be more errors. I'm copying pasting so many things, but really, like a lot of the errors come in when you misspell something or put the wrong character in somewhere. So I found this to be a much faster way. It's like you get almost like a free boilerplate because you've built it once already. No sense of building it again from scratch. I guess I don't need auth. Thought I did, but We'll probably find out we need it so at some point. All right, let's see. Now we have ID does not exist on this type, right? We actually haven't created the edit community type to be able to get to our form. So let's do that. We have our app.js file. Oops, I didn't want to open it there. I wanted to bring it here. Okay. So our app.js file has all of our routes. Let's bring in our edit community component, and we'll make it a route. So I'm just going to copy this and whoops. Paste it here and then change business profile to community. And we're using React Router. And in React Router, we have one way we can do things is we have this switch statement with all our routes. We have a route here, and we want to pass the ID in as the next part of the URL, and we want to grab that and have it available in our component as ID. So where we have this use params, we're getting this part from React Router, and since we have an ID as part of the route, we can get that value here and use it in our component, and that's the value we're going to use to determine what we can use to look up our data. Let me save that. Once I save that, then this should change once the editor catches up. Oh, you know what? I know why it's not. I know why we have that. Did it work? No, it didn't. For some reason, TypeScript does not like. It's telling us that ID doesn't exist on params. I'm sure there's some way, some proper way to do this. It probably would just take me Googling TypeScript with React Router, and I could probably find the answer. But for now, just to you know how my style is. When we're building, we build fast, and then we can always refactor. The way I figure, especially like I work for a startup, so in my mind, it's like you work for a startup. Build it and make it work, because if you wait and refactor everything right away, you might not have a company left. Or you're moving so fast and changing things, the thing that you were going to refactor that you're taking all this time on, it might change. You might get some update saying, hey, we need to pivot. We need to do this differently now. And so the thing that you put all this time into may not even be needed, or you may need to change it significantly. So that's my philosophy. That's just not everybody's philosophy. In fact, there are other people on my team who are way more careful about using proper types, and so we have strike kind of a balance between that, which I think is a good makeup to have on a team. Is a balance between the move fast people and the let's do it properly people. I think they're both important because, like I said, in certain situations, you do just need to get things done. But if you always did that, your code would just be a mess. So then when you went back and actually needed to add in features or edit your code, it would take much, much longer than it would need to take if you had done it properly, right away. So good balance. But in a live stream, I tend to like to get things done. I think it keeps the stream moving a little bit faster. But let me know what you think. If you would rather me take a little bit more time to do some like refactoring as we go, I can do that. Definitely not a problem. Okay. Got another comment here. I believe React is going forward with using import star as React from React to simplify workflow. Do you think this is a good idea? I haven't started doing this myself. How is it? I don't know. I don't know. I haven't seen anything about that. I have no opinion about this right now because I'm just learning about this for the first time. I'm out of the loop. I like, I should say, when you say that, I like vaguely remember seeing something about it. So this might not be the first time I've heard it, but I didn't remember it the first time I heard it until now. Um, all right, let's remove some of this stuff. So we're gonna have to add back in our own stuff. We can keep in, I believe the set image URL is going to be the same, but what we call it is going to be different. But we're going to get our response data. It's not going to be get business profile. It's going to be get community. And it's not going to be, let's not call this business. Let's call this, I don't want to call it community because that's what we're calling this up here. So let's say, let's just call it data. And not data.logo, but it's going to be data dot, I think, image URL. So let's bring up our schema on our right, our left-hand side, so that we know what it's called. Oh, maybe it's just image or img. Yeah, that's what we'll have. It's just img. And now we're going to need to, well, I should say this first. Let me, I think I have the database on my other screen ready. So I'm going to get the value for a community. Let's grab, here's one from West Virginia, my home state. I'm going to grab this ID, which is kind of long, but we're going to see if it works. So here's a good way for us to test our route. So it's going to be edit community. And then there's the ID. It's the Basilica of the Co-Cathedral of the Sacred Heart, Charleston. That is quite long. We didn't get an error. I was fully expecting to just see an error. I didn't. Let's see what we get in our network. Let me do this again. Nothing. So we didn't get an error because evidently I'm not even calling this function yet. That's, it should be called, right? You have a use effect. The use effect says get community. We have our get community function. Here we're passing our ID. We can get the ID. Let's console log data. Oh, it just took a minute to get the data. That's weird. Hey, the image showed up and that worked already. Cool. So we actually did get the data. Right? Nice. Cool, that works. So I don't think I've ever been to this. So this is the capital of West Virginia. I am from West Virginia, but I'm from pretty much as far away from the capital as you can get in West Virginia. So I don't think I've ever been here to this place, but it sounds impressive. So maybe I should check it out one day. At least the name sounds impressive. Oh, okay. John's saying if you do the import like he was saying, then you don't need to remember all the hooks that need to be imported. Actually, that would be pretty useful. So my opinion on that is it sounds like a good idea because that would be useful because there are plenty of times when I go to use a hook and I can't use it right away because I didn't import it. So that would save me a step, which is always good. All right, cool. So let's start building this out where we need the type, name, description. We're getting a phone number, email, city, state, latitude, longitude. So we need a lot of stuff in here. I'm going to pull this on my other screen so I can remember what we need as I'm coding it. And for now, let's go up to where we have all of our state, and I'm going to copy and paste this down here, and then we'll use that as a reference. I'm not going to console log the data anymore since we know we're getting it. But I'm just going to go through, and for each one of these, I'm going to say set name, and it's going to be data.name. I can get rid of this. Set description. It'll be data dot. I wish this was in alphabetical order. The schema. Yeah, it's just description. You know what? I think when I went through that, we tried to name these with the same thing they are in the schema. So I'm just gonna go with that. And if one doesn't work, then we'll deal with it. Description. We're gonna set the type as whatever the. Let's make sure it is actually type. Yeah, it is. Cool. Phone number. I think my G Fuel kicked in because I'm feeling a little bit more focused now. John, thank you for reminding me to save my file, because usually when things don't work, it's because I forgot to save. Data dots, phone number. Also realized in the last stream that I spelled Thursday wrong, and I didn't realize it for the entire stream. So sorry for that. Set latitude. Set city as data.city. Almost done with this. We will need to set the mass times and that, but that'll be a little bit trickier. We may need to parse the. Well, we'll see what kind of format it comes in as. And then sets. Oh, that was confusing me because it was saying set state. So it means state is in like one of the states in the United States. Set state data.state. All right, now we should get. Oh, and I messed that up. TypeScript. Hmm. All right, so it looks like some of this is working. So we have the name here, description. Oh, okay. We didn't get this data, so we're not pulling this data in. That's part of the problem. So phone number, what do we need? Email, description, description, latitude, ooh, latitude. Let me double check this. Yep, latitude. Longitude, and what city? But this is gonna be tricky. City, state. But then we also have like address, provenance name, or address, country, territory name. So we'll see in a second. Let me save that. Let's save this and let's see what we get back in our from our data. So you can see we aren't getting. Okay, so the address Providence name is West Virginia. So the reason that we're getting the data like this, and it seems a little bit weird, it is kind of weird, is because we scraped all this data from a site that aggregates all the mass times data from not just the United States, but mainly the United States. These are the names that they used in their scraper or in their API. So we kept those names when we imported them. That's why city, uh, like state is null, but we actually have the state, and actually it's not country territory name. I need something else. What is it called? Uh, City name. I think that's it. So we'll take this out and go city. And then what we'll do down here is we'll go city name, set city, and it'll be data.city or data.city name. And we'll do the same thing for state. So it'll be state or data dot, what do we have? Address provenance name. Yeah. Now that should work. Yep. And now you can see city, Charleston, state, West Virginia. Now for our other community, community type didn't work. Why didn't that work? What are we getting? Oh, because I didn't pull that data in. We need to bring in type. There we are. Now we have type of parish. I believe there's no description, so our description is null, so that's why we have no description. And we have no email. Okay, so if we wanted to, we could go on and like go on the website for this parish maybe and find their email and maybe copy and paste a little description or something and add that in. Since this is just the development database, I'm not going to bother with that now. If this was on the production database, I might put in a little bit of real data just to make things a little nicer. But cool. So we actually got in a good bit of work here. How long did that take us? Wow, that took us less than an hour. So not bad. This is going along faster than I thought it would. All right, nice. This is only the first step. We still need to get all this data. and then we still need to change our create mutation to an update mutation, and we need to send in not only all of our data, but the ID and the version number as well. John says pulling data in is like magic. Even when one knows there's code behind it all, it just feels nice and easy. Yeah, it does. It actually, I was pleasantly surprised that this all just came in like this and there weren't like errors. So, yeah, this is pretty cool. All right, so let's try to get in. We'll just start out with mass times data. And let's pull in masses. Oh, nope, massive. And confessions. Adorations. For some reason we keep using, yeah, adorations like plural. I know that's not normally how you refer to it, but I think that's how it was referred to in the API, so we just kind of kept that. And actually we can do set community data dot community, just data. And now let's try to do set masses. This is gonna be tricky. All right, we're gonna have to edit our switch statement. So right now we only have 3 cases. We can add another case that's gonna be, let's just say all. And all is gonna take in let's say, let's do this because I think we'll have to do this. But then we'll say, no, I don't think so. We can just return action.value. Yeah, and let's see. Oh, wait a second. Can we do? No, we're gonna call handle mass change. Right? No, not. We're gonna call set masses. Yeah, set masses, and we're just gonna pass in for value. We're gonna pass in a type and a value. That's what we're gonna do. Okay. And our type is going to be all, and our value will be what we get back. Value is going to be data masses. See if that works. All right, I saved it. And we have an error. Let's see, error. Subselection required for field get community masses. Interesting. Masses. Items. Maybe we might need to bring up day of week. All right, let's see. What we got. Let's take these out for now. Just see if we can pull this up. So let's see what we get. Nope. Not items. Don't know why this is so slow. All right, well, I'm waiting for this. So let me go to the chat. Will this be the API data that can be mutated, or will the user own their own data sets? This will be API data. And we're going to mutate this API data. Well, hopefully, let's figure out why this isn't working. I'm gonna try to put this in here and say like basically wait for the ID to change. What the heck is going on? Oh, I think it's saying syntax error. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. All right. Well, that explains it. Syntax error. That'll do it. Hey, this didn't exactly work, but it's close. Yeah, let's check out what the data looks like. It's interesting. So for masses, yay. So I just need to put in, what do we need? Day of the week. Oops. So we need day of week, start time, and language. Let's see what we get. Is it, did I do it wrong? Is it not start time? What's it called? Time start. Okay. Whoa, cool. That works. We're getting like I might need to change these fields because I don't want to mess with this. But look, we're getting cool. And the language thing is probably because by default, if a language is null, it's basically just English. Um, so that's why it's coming in as nothing here, which is fine. We can verify that it's all coming in as null. Yep, language null. So that's fine if language is null. We can always come in and manually set this as English. Uh, we're going to assume basically that, at least for now, that all parishes that are, say, null for language, it's just going to be English, and we're not going to put anything. That's cool. It's cool that it works. We can now go in and set up, do basically the same thing for confessions. We need time n, and do the same thing for adoration. And we can come down here. Well, we need to change those functions as well. Now, I'm interested to see if there's no values for this, what actually happens. But ooh, I'm kind of hoping it happens here, just so we can see what the result is. But back here in our, you could probably just cut. Yeah, we can copy and paste this case. That was really fast. It was a fast change. And now let's see. Hey, look, we have confession times and we have adoration time. Awesome. So I'm not going to get to see what happens when we don't have that, but very cool. And for some reason it worked. This worked. Uh, in the sense that it's not covering up the inputs aren't being covered, but I think we can change the inputs to something else. So let's go over here and see. We have our text input here, and we can see the values, like what we can do. I think we can say we can change our inputs to look like this. Let's see how we do that. Oh no, it's not. It's always going to do that. No, actually, this one's different. Let's see how they did that one. So it's the bottom, and this is Material UI documentation. So where is that number? So we'll do variant outlined, input label prop shrink true. I think that's what we need. Let's try to put that in there and see if that works. So we'll go to our text field for start time. Let's save that. There we are. So now we have it like that. I wonder though, if we take out variant outline and we keep in this input label props shrink true, if we'll get the same result. Yeah, we do. Okay, so that works. So let's just add those input label props shrink true and have them shrink automatically. And we'll do it down here for our start time. Our end time for confessions. We'll do the same thing for our start and end time for adoration. And that should stop them from overlapping. We'll do a refresh. Very cool. Hey, Dimitri's here. How's it going, Dimitri? Dimitri says, hello, have a nice coding day. Thanks. I appreciate that. I hope you have a nice coding day as well. All right, cool. John says, then there's an opportunity for user error when submitting data changes, but then that's human error. Yeah, definitely there's an opportunity for error here. So for now, the only people that are going to use this is it's for internal use. So there's really only 2 people in the organization right now that are going to have access to this and be able to use this. So I'm going to have to just train them to say, this is how you input everything. Ideally, what I would do is say, like, for instance, the phone number for the start and end times, I would make a check on all of those inputs to make sure they were formatted correctly, or I would place some type of auto formatting on it so that, you know, to automatically put in, let's say, the colons here, and you couldn't submit it unless everything was formatted correctly. Okay, that's the proper way to do this, and that's probably eventually what we'll do. For now, I'm just trying to get it done as fast as possible. Then we can go back through and put in some of the other stuff, because I know in dealing with forms what gives me the most issues and what takes the longest, and stuff like that can take longer than, like, it potentially could take a whole stream to figure out how to do that properly, just because I've dealt with it a lot before, and I know that type of stuff takes a long time, and it'll slow down the development process. So better for me to keep my train of thought on get this form working, and let's be able to submit it. Then I can go through and say, all right, next step, let's add field validation, and we can go field by field, like top priority being fields that are most likely to be inputted wrong. Also top priority, like required fields. So things like that. In my mind, at least, that's like the priority of needs, is like, let's get the form working first of all, then we'll put in some safeguards so that the data is entered properly. All right, I'm gonna take a breath. Starting to get, we did some fast work there, so just gonna take a little relaxing breath. We've been at this for about an hour. I want to encourage everybody to ask questions. Hey, John's got to go. See you later, John. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for so long in the stream. I appreciate that. Hope you have a great rest of your day. All right. So since we've made it this far, I say it's worth a shot to try to actually submit this and see if we can properly submit changes. So let's go back to our edit business profile, which we had up here. And let's see how we're editing. And then let's do the same thing over here. It's going to be a bit of typing, which might be a little bit boring, but if you're watching the replay, you can always put this on double speed, which I encourage because I solve problems twice as fast on double speed and it makes me seem smarter. That was kind of a joke, but it is true. Where am I going? I'm trying to find. See, this component is just way too big at this point. When it takes this long to find where you need to be at, you know your component is too big. All right. We now can take our publish um, function and change it so that we are editing. And we need, let's see. We need to change this query to be update community. We see we got the little red squigglies, so we'll have to go up and import that. We also can add in success and failure, which we should have added in already, but I forgot. Okay, and now we need all of this stuff. In addition to that, we will also need version, which we're going to get from community dot version. And we're going to need ID, which we're getting from the URL. Now let's go up to the top and change this to update. This will be less typing than I thought. I forgot that we had a lot of it typed out already. So let's save it. And let's change, we're just going to change one thing just so that we can verify. Let's change language to English. And we'll change that from create to, let's say, update or save. Let's see what we got. All right, so what we get on success is it returns the data. It returns the whole data object back to us. So we could go here to masses and we should see language English, which we see here, language English. Let me make this a lot bigger. Apologies that this has been really small the whole time. I totally forgot to make it bigger. So hopefully you can see that it says language English. Now, if we refresh the page, it should say language English for us. Yep, English. So, hey, we have successfully created an edit page in about an hour, especially if you cut out my time about talking about vacations earlier. About an hour, we created everything. So, awesome. Really probably should add in a success or failure message and change this to update. Update, and let's go down here and just copy our messages. So we can see we have these beautiful messages here. Which is just some text that says an error has occurred, please try again, or it worked awesome. So let's go in, we'll put English in for this one as well. Hopefully those masses are really in English. I believe they are. It worked, awesome. Cool. All right. That's really cool. Now, what we don't have currently is any way to get to this page other than manually typing in the URL. So that's something that needs added in. Probably won't add it in today. I think I'm going to wrap the stream up here. Uh, the viewership on the stream is dwindling. I think we have one viewer now. So whoever you are, thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking with us till the end. But yeah, so the next stage is probably just to add in and edit. Well, actually, it wouldn't be there. What we'll need to do is add in some sort of page where we can list the communities or search for communities and then get to the edit page from there. So maybe that'll be the next thing that we do. Also, next week, I'm probably going to be switching over to some React Native stuff and working on our React Native app. So it'll be a little bit different next week. I'm getting more and more sure that I'm gonna try to start streaming on the Free Code Camp channel at some point. So I think I'm getting up there to maybe like 75% sure that I want to start doing that again. So that's a potential new thing that'll be exciting. Well, I used to do it, but it'll be. I'm gonna start doing it again. That'll be exciting because there'll be a lot of people in the stream, so a lot more questions. Less code, and more questions, but it'll be cool. We'll get a lot more ideas in here. So overall, it'll be helpful for the project and helpful for everybody because of all the questions and answers and the different ideas that come about from that. So thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being in the chat, and feel free to ask any questions in the comments if you're watching this later on. I'm happy to answer those. And yeah, until next time, have a great day.